you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere all the time. And it's never going to change. It's rough. It really
is. Synonymous with Australian culture since the 1950s, surfing is carving out a new identity. Surf therapy has become a lifeline for those struggling with mental illness. Meet Tamara Murray, a surf therapy participant.
For me, my depression, if I had to put it in words, always self-critical. I was self-loathing all the time. Even if I didn't have to be, I was. And that almost became an addiction in itself. I still hated myself. I still didn't want to be around. I still wanted to isolate myself and not be around people to hide how I was feeling. It was very dark. It was very cold.
From the age of 14, Tamara had a severe battle with depression, a common story to 1 in 4 people aged 13 to 25.
If I didn't have surfing, I don't know what else I'd have really. The reason I got involved was more so because I wanted to get back into surfing, but it just so happened that I also struggled with depression and I used to surf, and it was when I'd stopped surfing that I'd realised I was struggling, and I wasn't doing like what I loved anymore.
We're finding out what's beneath the surface and why surf therapy works. As an occupational therapist, Joel Pilgrim created surf therapy programs and founded Waves of Wellness.
We are in the middle of a zeitgeist for changing mental health. I think the way that current mental health services are run, it needs to be innovative. And if we're really going to deliver holistic programs that are centred around the individual, we need to go to where they are. We need to focus on what people love and what's attractive to the mainstream community. By doing surfing, we're focusing on something that is quintessentially cool. And so the idea of talking about your mental health and well-being is stereotypically uncool. By combining the two together, we're saying we're drawing that idea of mental health out of the darkness and saying we can talk about this. We can be real about our health and well-being, and we can focus on it while doing something fun.
What began as anecdotal evidence, Joel is now validating his findings through his PhD research, a Delphi study to be used internationally.
But now we're at the stage where we're now evidencing it. We're demonstrating the real impact that it's having. And so we're diving into qualitative and quantitative research. We're demonstrating with our program at Waves of Wellness just how it's having a change on people's lives. So we're measuring someone at week 0 and then at week 8, and we're seeing the change in behaviour over that 8-week period. And the changes that we've seen so far are just amazing.
WOW programs have taken clinical practice into the ocean.
Every week was structured so that it was a stepping stone in terms of the conversations we would have before each surf session. So sitting around in a circle with our boards on the sand, in nature, not in a room with 4 white walls and a fluorescent light shining in your eyes with somebody asking you how you feel about that. And then we'd get into the surfing. So it was nothing to do with mental health. It was learning a new skill. Or revising an old skill.
Isolation is a common symptom for people struggling with their mental health.
When you're going through a challenge with mental health issues, you feel like you're the only person in the world. But all of a sudden, when you come down to a WOW program, you realise that there's people all around me that have seen very similar things, and I'm not alone.
For many, the stigma which surrounds mental health is the biggest barrier to accessing help.
I suppose I knew in myself that I was struggling, but I didn't want anyone else to know. I didn't want my family to know, I didn't want my friends to know, I didn't want people in the wider community to know, so I thought I hid it very well. The progress throughout the group wasn't even about the surfing. It was about the interactions I made, it was about the conversations we had, it was about feeling included, it was about being in a comfortable environment, feeling safe to talk about anything you wanted to talk about. I know I really thrived off seeing how far the other guys had come. I mean, I had my own journey, and I had my own, the things that I took away that mattered, but also seeing how everyone else and what they took away was really important as well, really helped.
It's 6 a.m. on a cold winter's morning. It's hard to miss the group gathering in South Bondi in head-to-toe fluoro. Fluoro Friday, an initiative of One Way, meet once a week to free the funk and break the stigma around mental health.
The reason the stigma exists around mental health is the fear of someone's potentially negative reaction to when we open up about how we really feel. And what we pretty soon realize is that potential is next to none.
Fluoro Friday has become a worldwide phenomenon, but Sam attributes its success to the contributions of individuals.
That we've just seen like so many moments where like, oh fuck, you're right. At the essence of it, it is community that's helping us. You know, like the surfing is this catalyst to it, but actually doing it with people and the community side of it is what helps. And they realize, oh, I've got something to add here. Like I've also got a mental health journey, and hearing yours was so helpful to me. So I feel at some point I would like to be able to help others by sharing my own. And so that contribution that someone can make by talking has this like ripple effect, you know, and it's ended up rippling to beaches all over Australia and all over the world where these Fluoro Fridays happen. And so, yeah, we think that, you know, we've got these feelings of aloneness all unique to us, but there's 7 billion people in this world. So we're not alone. And slowly what we have is like the breakdown of stigma, you know, and now it's just super normal around those different communities and neighborhoods to be open and talking about mental health, which is such a change from 10 years ago, you know.
The process of reaching out for help is daunting, but it is proven to be the critical turning point.
Learning to ask for help was a big thing, especially from people that I cared about. And yeah, accepting the help was also very difficult. Like I felt so alone for so long that I thought that it's something that I should have to deal with by myself. But that never got me anywhere productive. So it's only since asking for help and accepting it have I realised that like no one should be in this alone. No one's ever gonna, I think, get out of it alone.
Mental health awareness organisation BITIA report that in every group of 30 young people, 7 are struggling with a mental health challenge. 2 reach out for help, which means that 5 suffer in silence.
The motto is giving a voice to the elephant in the room. So smashing the stigma around mental health, talking about mental health, removing that whole idea that there should be barriers when we do talk to it. Yeah.
Courtney Ballisk is the Being Heard Coordinator, a program aiming to equip young people with a lived mental health experience to share their story, to change the dialogue around mental health and promote help seeking. But why is sharing a personal struggle so effective? The approach is based on the research of behavioural expert Patrick Corrigan.
There's this approach called in vivo, where you look at peer-to-peer sharing of stories. The biggest change in behaviours and the change where someone was more likely to seek help or be able to speak about their own sort of problems was when we had this peer-to-peer approach. You might need to kind of keep trying, and it's what we want to highlight is that resilience, the collaborative approach that the for-purpose groups are taking is going to be what changes that dialogue. I think being able to collaborate with people like One Wave, getting involved in programs like Waves of Wellness, the power of that is immense.
For someone who is going through mental health challenges, being able to learn a new skill is something that's you know, a really positive experience. But also doing that with like-minded individuals who understand where they're at and have been through similar experiences is quite a powerful way of being able to help someone in their own recovery.
Oscar Lederman is a mental health exercise physiologist and PhD candidate. He explains the connection between physical exercise and mental well-being.
There's lots of emerging evidence at the moment looking at the role of exercise as a preventative measure for common mental illnesses like depression and anxiety. And there's been studies looking at the association between high levels of physical activity is actually protective against the development of common mental disorders.
Treating the mind and the body as an integrated entity is a recent development in the mental health sphere. Letterman explains this bidirectional relationship.
Now there's also lots of evidence emerging as to the role of exercise for people with severe mental illness, so people with bipolar, schizophrenia, and how exercise can complement their treatment. Certain substances in the brain called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor, and insulin-like growth factor. So these are two substances in the brain that actually promote the growth and the regeneration of cells within the brain and are responsible for neuroplasticity. So it allows our brain to develop and mature over time. The social aspect of exercise, so just the pure act of engaging in activities that involve communication and being close to people in a proximity where it's engaging and it's social, have a massive impact on someone's mental health. So one of the other ideas around how exercise can improve our mental health is the idea that of self-efficacy. So if we're not sure if we can achieve a certain exercise, and then you train and you develop and you improve your strength so that you can achieve those 10 push-ups when you thought you never could have done them, sometimes that reward and that motivation can translate to other aspects of your life, so that, you know, if I achieve those 10 push-ups when I thought I never could, that's going to mean that I can maybe apply for that job that I never thought I could get, or, you know, I could learn to surf or do something that I think would be right out of my scope.
Being in nature also plays a role in the success of the therapy.
I think the ocean has a really unique way of being able to level someone out. Being able to immerse yourself in the water and to use that natural environment to cleanse is a really powerful thing. And with surf therapy, it's a really powerful way of being able to bring people together from many different walks of life to share that common experience of learning how to surf.
I feel like surfing's given me a sense of purpose. Nothing matters in the water, and all I'm focused on is catching a wave or getting out past the break.
We're giving people the opportunity to use surfing as a way of coping with their mental health and well-being, not just for 8 weeks, but in an ongoing capacity. We don't want to give people the skill and then go, all right, see ya, we're never going surfing again. We want to say, let's help you purchase a surfboard. Let's help you build the skills so you can do this independently. Because if we're really going to do rehabilitation and support people in mental health recovery in an innovative way, we need to give them the skills and teach them to do it, rather than just showing them and doing everything for them.